is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Amon's Toxic Gamolery 31. Back at it with another video. And today we're doing yet another toxic tier list ranking. Ooh, yeah. And today we got a long one. And we are going to be doing an MCU tier list ranking of all the villains in the MCU up to the Marvels. But before we get to the actual beginning of the video itself, guys, if you missed my previous toxic tier list rankings I've done in the past, they are in a playlist on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to check that one out. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free, and number two, we're on the road to 400 subscribers, just 18 away now. Really, how about you, boy, if you did subscribe? It also goes for people that have watched my channel for a while and haven't subscribed yet. And don't forget to like the video if you do like my toxic tier list rankings, because it'll let me know that you do like it and help with the YouTube algorithm and recommend the video more. But with that being said, I'm just going to read off the categories here before we start ranking things. I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm going to be talking a lot. So, as always, here are the categories. Well, not as always, but usually most of these are in my categories for my tier list rankings. So, we have best of the best, which means they're up there, top tier villains, and they are arguably probably in the best villains of all time. Great means they're still a great villain, but they're not. They're still great. They're still great, but not best of the best material. Solid means it's a solid villain. You do hate him, and he is memorable. Toxic goodness means they're a good enough villain, but they're not. They don't do anything don't do anything like spectacular to remember them by. Okay means it's an okay villain, like there's some stuff about them that you kind of like, but otherwise pretty generic and lopsided. Meh means they're just like a meh villain, like, you know, they're mid. You don't even remember much about them, really. Who are ya is more is that, but more, like, you don't know who they are, you don't remember who they are, and you forget that they're in the movie. And then toxic trash means dumpster fire, the worst villains in the whole entire MCU. But with that being said, let's start our tier list here, and we're actually starting off pretty good. We have Eric Killmonger from Black Panther, and Michael B. Jordan's performance as him is amazing, and he goes into the great tier. He doesn't quite go best of the best for me, because there's a bunch of other MCU villains that I think deserve to go up a little bit higher than him. But just Michael, like, I think that the first Black Panther movie is a really generic. That's the highest rated MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes. But Michael B. Jordan arguably makes that movie with his performance. He's just so menacing, and you kind of sympathize with him too. And he's just phenomenal in this role and makes Killmonger a villain you actually remember. So even if you didn't know who he was before, so yeah. Then we have He Who Remains from Loki, aka Kang. Would we really consider him a villain? Like, because he's not... I don't know how to explain him, but I'll put him in the solid tier because he's not really a villain, because he's just explaining stuff to Loki, and I forgot what her name was, but... anyways, just basically explaining stuff to them about you can either kill me or rule this multiverse and blah, 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 blah. So, but he does have a lasting impression. It was cool to see him in the series, and Jonathan Majors does do a good job as playing as him. So I think it's a very solid performance. But as a villain, though, he would probably go into the okay, because he's not really a villain. But just for the performance alone, he goes into solid. Then we got Ultron. Ultron is a great villain as well. Say what you will about Avengers Age of Ultron. Like, that movie is a little bit messy, but still an underrated MCU movie, I think. And James Spader as Ultron's very menacing, and he does a great job. And bringing that character to screen with just his voice presence, and he was really the first big baddie that killed someone in the main Avengers. If correct me if I'm wrong, but like, yeah, he was quite menacing. So yeah, say what you will about the movie, as I said before, because it is a little bit messy, but Ultron does make that movie though, so he goes in the great tier. Then we got U.S. Agent. Kind of the same story with He Who Remains. Would you really consider him a villain? He's more of an anti-hero now, but I would say he's also a solid villain. He's not really a villain at the same time, so... But that scene where he ends up killing that one dude with the shield and hitting him multiple times with that is quite the shocking moment for a Disney Plus series. And also, I thought that fight he had with Winter Soldier and Falcon was really good and an underrated MCU fight. And I think that dude does do a good job playing as him, because you really don't buy him as Captain America, so I'll keep him solid because he's more of an anti-hero now. So screw me, I just burped. Screw me up again. Burped again. Then we got Caecilius from Doctor Strange, and I'm gonna put him in the okay tier. The reason it goes into okay and not any lower is because Mads Mikkelsen does a good job acting as him, because I think he's a really underrated actor, and he does pretty good here. But just the character is just very generic and just a stepping stone for Doctor Strange to get to Dormammu. So, yeah. Then we got Ego, played by Kurt Russell from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and he goes into the toxic goodness category. Probably... I'd have to think, but before we move on to another villain eventually, he might be the best Guardians villain out of the trilogy, because Kurt Russell, can switch on a dime. He can be a really nice father figure to the Guardians, and you kind of like him, and then when he turns into bad Ego, it goes all crazy, and... when it's revealed that he put a tumor in Star-Lord's mom's head, that was pretty dark. And also what he did to all of Star-Lord's siblings, too. That was quite crazy. And, yeah. Ego and Kurt Russell, I think this is easily tied with another person, which we'll talk about. Probably the best performance from one of the Guardians villains. So he goes into the toxic goodness category. Then we got Korath the Pursuer. I believe that's what his name is. Korath the Pursuer is like a meh villain. Or would I put him in okay? Because it's one of these two categories. Because kind of the same thing with Mads Mikkelsen. Digimon Hansu is just a likable face. And I see him in a lot of stuff and I go, oh, that's Digimon Hansu. But he's just... I'll put him in okay because he's meant to be a side villain. He's not meant to be a real big baddie. So I'll put him at the back of okay for Korath the Pursuer. I forgot what Homeboy's name was. I really don't know. It's one of Thanos' children. Not really. I'll just put him in meh. I'll just put him in meh. There's better members of that Thanos' children. So, yeah. Hela from Thor Ragnarok. And Hela from Thor Ragnarok goes into the great tier. I really enjoyed her character and Cate Blanchett's performance as Hela. She's probably the best villain out of the 4 movies. She's just so good at being evil. So I thought she did really good with that. I also enjoy the fight scenes she has with Thor and Loki, and she's taken as a very serious threat and hard to beat. And eventually they bring Surtur to beat her up, so that's proof how powerful she is. And yeah, I think Hela's a great villain. Agatha, Agatha Harkness from WandaVision, and she's getting her own TV show soon. She's one of these two. I'd put her in Toxic Goodness because she is a very kind of goofy villain, but for the theming of the WandaVision show, it works. So I thought the performance was pretty well done, and I think that some people might think she's just a throwaway villain, but I think she's a fun enough villain just because of how fun the WandaVision show is, and the eventual plot twist that she's the main villain of the show, I thought was really well done. So she goes into Toxic Goodness category. Would I put her above Ego? No, I'll put Ego at the top of that category still. Red Skull. This one hurts because Red Skull's a great villain in the comics, but what they do with him in the first Captain America movie, and Hugo Weaving does great as Red Skull. Unfortunately, I gotta put him in the okay tier. I don't think they used Red Skull well in the first Captain America, the First Avenger. He's still a great character and very interesting and has a lot of layers to him that you want to know more about him. But he's not... They don't really build him up much as a big baddie, I don't think. That's just me, though, then again, this is my list, guys. So, yeah, be sure to leave your list down below, but... It's just, I don't think they use him well. And he only has one appearance. Well, not really. He has one appearance as Red Skull, then he becomes that Keeper of the Soul Stone for Infinity War and Endgame. So, yeah. Then who is this? Who's the Power Broker? I'm pretty sure he's from Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't remember. I'm just going to put him in... Who are you? I forgot who the Power Broker is. Don't mind me. Wait, isn't that Sharon Carter? Or supposed to be Sharon Carter? I forgot. Yeah, I'm just putting her in there. Shocker. Shocker. Where do I put you? I'm either putting him in meh or toxic trash. I have to really think. Are there villains that are worse than him in this category? I gotta look here, because I gotta judge if there are way worse villains. Honestly, I really do hate to do it, but just the design of Shocker in that movie, too. He's just a one-sided villain. There's nothing memorable, really, about him, and he's not as great as he is in the comics, even though he's a kind of a B-level Spider-Man villain. Then, another one. Who are you? I do not remember you at all, sir. Then we got Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And Taserface is just there for a laugh, and he's Toxic Goodness character. He's funny how people laugh at him for his name. It's really funny just how Rocket insults his name. He's not a great villain, probably arguably not even a good villain, but he's a very memorable little side villain where you get a gag every single time people laugh at his name. So Taserface goes into Toxic Goodness. Next up, we have Jan Rog from the first Captain Marvel, played by Jude Law, and I'm going to put him in the okay tier. Same sort of story with Maz Mikkelsen and Hugo Weaving. The performance by Jude Law carries the character, but he wasn't built up really well as a villain, and he's not a memorable villain, so he goes into okay tier. So, I still enjoy Jude Law's performance, though. Does this really count? Because he's not really an actual villain. He's an actor. I'm trying to do Trevor Slattery's voice, but Trevor Slattery as the Mandarin. He's not really a villain, so I'll put him in the... If we're counting his, little vignettes, clips, before it's revealed that he is, not the actual Mandarin, I would put him in the great tier. But that Mandarin twist does drag it down. So I'm going to put him in the okay tier because Ben Kingsley is still hilarious in that role. So yeah. Yeah. If, as I said before, if he was still the main villain, he would probably go up into the great tier, but that Mandarin twist ruined it. Aldridge Killian, the actual Mandarin, questionably. I don't think he's the actual Mandarin, but, he says, I am the Mandarin, or whatever, and he might not be. I'll put him in the solid tier, just because Guy Pearce plays him, and I think he does a really good job, and I like the Fire group of villains as a group. I thought they were pretty cool and unique, so, besides from that, he's just another person that got mad at Tony Stark, and Tony Stark eventually fights him. So, in that final boss battle between him and Tony is really good. So, I'll put him in the solid tier. Then we got Laufey. Laufey, I gotta really think. I think he's meh, because he's not really built as the big villain. So there's moments that I think he's cool and in it, but not really at the same time. So he goes at the top of meh. He gets at least the top. Another one of Thanos' followers. Just I'll put her in meh. It's meh or okay. She's definitely not the memorable out of the group. So I'll put her here, yeah. So next up, we have Ghost from Ant-Man the Wasp. I almost said Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. My bad. She goes into okay. I think you do sympathize with her a lot. So she does good with that, and you feel bad for her. But she doesn't have a lasting imprint. You know what I'm saying? So she goes there. Then we got Whiplash, and I think this might be unpopular, but, what did I just do? This might be just unpopular, but I think he's actually a pretty solid villain. Even though he's not the, would I say he's the main baddie of Iron Man 2? Because Justin Hammer technically is, no, he's the main villain of Iron Man 2. I think he's actually solid. Mickey Rourke plays him. The fight scenes with actual whips are cool when he faces Iron Man, and also that fight scene with, actually, no. I was about to say, especially that fight scene with him and, him facing Iron Man and Rhodey, but nah, I'm not too fond of that fight. But that first fight with Iron Man's really good. And, I think he's actually a pretty good, solid villain. I'll put him above U.S. Agent, just because U.S. Agent's kind of an anti-hero. Ebony Maw, probably the most memorable out of the Thanos' children. I'll put him in the solid tier. Just because he has a very unique look, and he is the creepiest out of the group, and he does almost take the amulet off of Doctor Strange, and you feel worried whenever he's stabbing Doctor Strange with those little needles or whatever. It's pretty scary, so I'll put him in the solid tier. I don't know what her name is. She wasn't really a big part of Loki, so who are ya? Excuse me, I just burped. Then there's this guy who was looking to be the main villain of Iron Man, and he didn't end up being the main villain of Iron Man. Either Matt or Who Are Ya? I'll put him in Who Are Ya, because I don't remember his name either. Well, no, I'll put him in Meh, because he's the leader of the Ten Rings, so, and there's some memorable stuff about him, so I'll put him there, and I'll put him right here, I think. Alexander Pierce, right? That's what his name is, from Captain America the Winter Soldier. This might be another unpopular opinion, even more unpopular than Whiplash, but I think he's actually a really great villain. When he dies, is dying, and he has one last dying breath where he says, "Hail Hydra," that is a pretty memorable segment, and shows how menacing he is. What's the dude's name? Robert Redford does a great job playing as him, and I think when it eventually builds him up as the villain, they do a great job of that. So he is a great villain, in my opinion, and extremely underrated. Then we got Mr. Loki. Mr. Loki, come on, we know where even though arguably still he's an anti-hero now, he is definitely a best of the best villain. I mean, come on. Before he turned into a good guy, he was definitely a best of the best villain. Like, the first Thor, Tom Hiddleston was originally supposed to play Thor, which I don't see a universe that would have worked. So I'm glad they didn't go with that and made him Loki instead. And he was absolutely phenomenal in that role, and I'm glad they brought him back for the Avengers. He's probably more better than that as Loki in there. And yeah, he's a best of the best villain. Then we got Yellow Jacket, Darren Cross. And Yellow Jacket, Darren Cross is meh. I really hate to do that because I think the look of the Yellow Jacket suit is cool. But besides from that, it's just another villain arc where basically he wanted to be business partners with Hank, and he feels betrayed by Hank, so he does what he does. And yeah, I really hate to put him there because I really do dig his suit design, but yeah, he goes there. Then we got Malekith. Probably mostly everybody's least favorite MCU villain. I'll put him in the okay tier because I do think he's memorable just for his look. For his actual performance and his line dialogue, no, he's not memorable whatsoever. But I just put him there because I think he's memorable for the elf thing, so the elf leader, so don't mind me either. Baron von Strucker, he didn't really pop up that much. They were making it seem as if he was gonna have a bigger part, but he really didn't, so I'll put Baron von Strucker on the meh tier as well. I thought he was still acted pretty well, though, and they do better job of building him up as a villain in the comics better in some animated TV shows, but he just ended up being meh and ended up being one of Ultron's first victims. So there you go. Sonny, what's his name? Sonny, I don't even remember what his name was. The performance is funny though, so I'll put him in the okay tier. He's a funny little B movie villain, so he goes there. I can't really think of any others. Thoughts. Sonny Birch, that's what his name is. He's a fine enough villain, but not the best villain of Ant-Man the Wasp. Claw, Ulysses Claw, and I will put Ulysses Claw in solid. Mostly that's because of Andy Serkis's performance as Claw. I think he really does good, and he does get some moments to shine here and there, especially in Black Panther, but he gets killed off, so... mostly how Andy Serkis goes unhinged, I love about it. So, yeah, he goes into solid. I know that might be another unpopular one. Chick from Captain Marvel. Who are you? Wait, where the heck did she go? She just disappeared. Hello? Where'd she go? Yep, and who are you? Because she's gone now. Then we got Nebula. Nebula as a villain I thought was okay. I'm glad they turned her into a good guy, so she was okay. So I'm glad they turned her into a good guy because she's just very whiny as a bad guy, so yeah. Then we got, is it the author or the other? Because I always get confused. Oh, there she went. Okay, there she goes. The other. He's used as one of Ronan's kills to prove Ronan is a beast. So, I'll put meh. Another one of Thanos' children. Meh. Then we got Savin, I believe his name is, played by James Badge Dale, which I'm surprised I still remember that name. But he is a pretty solid little side villain, so I think he's the most creepiest out of the villains for the side villains of the Heat people from Iron Man 3, so he goes there. So, alright guys, here we go again. I edited it into a second video so we can combine the two, hopefully. So next up we have Abomination. And Abomination was built up very well. But, like, when it gets to the final fight, actually, no. I think Abomination is a really solid villain. Because how they build up, I forgot his real name was, Emil Blonsky, how they build him up as a potential threat for Hulk. I really enjoy how they do that. And I really enjoy that movie, too. And when he transforms into Abomination, that stuff is really creepy. It's like out from a horror movie. They did a really good job on that. And also when it gets to that final fight, when it shows how menacing he is, I think Abomination is a really solid villain. Next up, we have Ronan the Accuser. Probably out of the big baddies for Guardians of the Galaxy, he's probably the weakest, but I think he's still an okay villain. I think he's acted out well, but he's just basically Thanos' puppet. So, simple as that, really. And I like the backstory that he has where he killed Drax's wife and kids so Drax can beat him up. So I say he's an alright villain. Batroc the Leaper, he wasn't really a big villain. You only saw him twice and he didn't really do much. So I'm going to put Batroc the Leaper in meh. He's a meh villain. And yeah, they definitely tried to go more serious villain because in the comics he's kind of a little bit goofy, so they went for a more serious version and they did an alright job, I guess, but he's nothing special. Then we have Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, and Vulture is a great villain. Would I say he's best of the best? I'd have to think, because he's probably at the top of the great tier, but would I put him in best of the best? Because when Michael Keaton does a great job of playing as him, and being menacing with it too, as his first supervillain role, that he does a really phenomenal job with that. Also, they give him an arc where he's just a guy that's trying to get food for his family. I think that definitely works. And we're not talking about Morbius universe, we're talking about MCU universe, okay? But he is a really, truly great villain, and I love that fight with him and Spider-Man on the beach. That's really great, too, and yeah, I think Vulture's a very great villain. I'd have to... I might rearrange it later to see if he goes to best of the best. Then we have the first, big MCU villain in the first big movie, Iron Man, Ironmonger. Ironmonger is a solid enough villain. It's their first villain. This is tough. Okay, he's gonna go at the back of great. Because I know people would be shouting at me for not putting him in the great tier, at least in my comments section. But Obadiah Stane is a really solid villain. He was the first. He's acted very well by Jeff Bridges. I don't know why I forgot his name, but I did. When it's revealed that he's the villain and the mastermind behind all the things, I was not expecting that when I was a kid, so that was very interesting. And that, again, another great fight between him and Iron Man near the end. I like his prototype suit that he built for himself. I think it's really cool. And yeah, I really enjoy Ironmonger as a villain. Probably the best Iron Man villain out of the bunch. So yeah. Then we got Mysterio, the second Spider-Man villain in the movies. And Mysterio goes into... I have to think. He goes into the toxic goodness character, a goodness category, because he's very goofy. He'll go to the top of there. He's a very goofy character, and you get to see Jake Gyllenhaal play him in a goofy role, which I actually respect that he did it that way, and he's really great in that role. The only gripe I have about his character is he's just another person that was mad at Tony Stark, so that's why I turned evil. And it's interesting how he faked everything and makes everybody think he's some big hero. So no other villain has really done that. So he is a very toxic goodness villain, because he's kind of stupid on paper, but in the actual movie itself, he's actually quite a smart villain. Then we got Winter Soldier. Again, another villain that you can argue is probably not a villain. I don't know. I didn't make this tier list. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Well, when he we'll talk about when he eventually... Well, we're going to talk about before he turns into Bucky Barnes, okay? So when he is the Winter Soldier, and when he doesn't get his memory back. Winter Soldier is a great, momentary villain. They built him up very well as a entity that's really scary, and you don't want to get on his bad side. And when it's eventually revealed it's Bucky and he has no memory of everything, that makes the final fight way more emotional when him and Steve Rogers are facing each other. So he's great. He's great. Then we got Thanos. Yeah, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm just kidding. We know where he's going. We know where Thanos is going. Thanos is easily on the best of the best tier. I mean, come on. Did you really expect me to put him in toxic trash? Absolutely not. He is probably, arguably, in the greatest movie villains of all time, too. That's how great Thanos is. How they build him up throughout the movies as a massive threat, the biggest threat to the Avengers in general. It's just insane. Great how they do it. Josh Brolin does a good job. No, not good. Phenomenal job voicing Thanos, this menace here. And he is the only villain that has successfully won against the Avengers and killed everyone on the whole entire Earth for a millisecond or two. Well, not millisecond. What? It was 5 years, not millisecond. What the heck? For 5 whole entire years. So that's quite the feat in itself. And you kind of sympathize with his motive of why to do that, to make it peaceful. Even though it is wrong, you do sympathize with him. So Thanos is an all-time villain. Definitely in the top 10 so yeah, Thanos goes there. Then we got Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones. And Crossbones is a okay side villain. He doesn't do much. When he eventually wears the Crossbones attire, I think it's really cool, and how it hides his burnt face from Winter Soldier. I think they do a really good job about that, but I wish we could see more of him, and then maybe I'd put him in the solid or toxic goodness tier, but he goes okay because he's just popped up in 2 movies. That's it, really. Then we got Justin Hammer, played by Sam Rockwell. I gotta really think of this. He's a toxic goodness character. Same sort of story with Mysterio. He's a very goofy character. But yeah, you gotta put him there. Because Sam Rockwell you can tell he's having fun with this role as Justin Hammer. And you could tell he's a very rich piece of crap. And so you think he's really funny. And yeah. There's nothing else really to say. He's just a fun character, even though, yes, he's kind of a stupid character in some ways, but, he goes into toxic goodness because he's goofy and you have fun with it. Aisha. Just generic vanilla character, and just golden princess, that's it, really. That's all I can say about that. She's so generic, bro. Did I really say Godfather? I was about to say Godfather. I don't know why. Grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok, played by Jeff Goldblum. Another character that you can tell is acted by an actor who's having fun. Jeff Goldblum. Whenever we watch Thor Ragnarok, my dad always laughs at his character all the time. He's hilarious in this role, and you can tell he has a blast, and he's really funny. So he goes out to the top of toxic goodness. So he's a very funny character, and more funny character than he is in the comics. So I'm glad they did a unique, different spin. Then we got Curse from Thor: The Dark World. Just generic henchman. Nothing else really to say there. Just generic henchman. That really doesn't do nothing. The actual look for him is kind of cool, but besides from that, he does nothing. So, yeah. Then we got the... why did I move her? What the heck? We got the leader of the Flag Smashers, and she's alright. She's fine. She's not really a villain at the end. Well, you sympathize with them at the end when all of them are attacked or die or whatever, but that's pretty much it, really. They're not terrible, but they're not great either. Then, I don't know what this guy's name is, but the dude from Black Widow, just an absolutely toxic trash villain. Acted pretty solidly, but nothing memorable about this character. Probably the most... out of the big baddies, like the actual big baddies for all the movies, this is probably the worst of those. He's bland, boring. The only reason why he decided to attack Black Widow really is just because he didn't really have a motive, really. He's just a trash character. But I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I think he's a trash character. And then we got Taskmaster. Taskmaster, before they did the eventual reveal, I would probably say she would be probably a great or solid villain. But I'm unfortunately going to put her into an okay tier, because the eventual reveal was stupid, and they could have done a better reveal. So it's okay. She's okay. But when I eventually watch Thunderbolts when it comes out, maybe I'll have a different perspective on things. Baron Helmut Zemo, on a one that almost was victorious. And, well, I mean, no, he was. He was another villain that was very, that kind of won in the end in Baron Helmut Zemo, because he split up the Avengers. So I'm not going to put him on best of the best, because he doesn't do as well as Thanos, but he goes in the great tier, because he does what he was planning to do, eventually making the Avengers split up and attack each other and fight each other. He's a very smart villain. I'm only talking about Civil War. I totally forgot about what happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He becomes like an anti-hero. I don't know. It's specifically talking about Civil War, he goes in the great tier. I'm not even mentioning the Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff. Dormammu. And Dormammu... this is tough. I'll probably put him either here or here. This is probably the toughest one to rank. Dormammu goes into... this is really tough. I don't know why I'm struggling with this so much, but I think he's solid. He's solid because he is still an impending threat. He killed Doctor Strange multiple times, and Doctor Strange kept on realiving himself. So, and Dormammu became really upset. So Doctor Strange definitely outsmarted him. But as an actual villain, he's solid. He's solid. There's nothing really memorable about him, but he's solid. Then we got Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola, I'd probably put him... yeah, I'm going to put him in the solid tier, too. as for the first Avenger, he's a fun little side villain. He doesn't do much, but he's a nice little side villain in there. And he's a computer screen in the Winter Soldier that basically tells that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by Hydra. Yeah, he's solid enough. He's not great or anything, but he's solid. Surtur from Thor Ragnarok, meh. Just there to end up destroying Asgard at the end and kill off the main villain, Hela. So he's not that memorable. Thunderbolt Ross, arguably probably not a villain. So I'll put him in the okay tier because he's not really a villain. So, well, not yet at least. So yeah. Then we got Icarus from the Eternals. And Icarus from the Eternals is actually another underrated villain. He's not as great as Alexander Pierce was in Winter Soldier, but I think he's a solid enough villain, and it's a very interesting twist that they do in Eternals when it's revealed that, oh crap, he's the villain instead, because they were building him up as the hero. So, yeah, very solid. Is this the dragon from Shang-Chi? I have no clue. So, who are you? This other villain in Eternals, I only remember one scene when he meets Angelina Jolie. Otherwise, who are you? The Celestials, they only pop up at the end, so I can't really say they're a terrible villain. So I'll put them in the okay tier because they only pop up at the end. They do appear to be a big threat, though, but they only pop up at the end. Mandarin. Unpopular, but I think he's the best of the best villain. Just when they did what they did with Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin being fake, when they're building up to the actual Mandarin in Shang-Chi and follow his origins, I think that's really compelling, and they did a great job on that. He's the most sympathetic villain out of the bunch, probably. He's more sympathetic than Thanos because he tried living a regular life with his wife and son, but was eventually pulled back into his old life because his wife got killed. So he eventually got dragged back into this. And you sympathize with him a lot. And Mandarin, I think, is the best of the best villain. They did a great job with that. Then we got Mandarin's little sidekick. Meh. He has a cool look, but meh. Another character that's just meh from Shang-Chi. Or Shang-Chi. I don't know what to... That's a common debate amongst fans. I don't know what to do, okay? Then we got Kate Bishop's mom from Hawkeye. Meh reveal. Then we got Electro. They definitely did a better job. They definitely did a better job at making him a serious villain. Well, not serious, but making him a better villain than he was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I still think he's solid in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but they did a better job of building him up at better. So I'll put him in the solid tier. He definitely was definitely built up better in Spider-Man No Way Home. So he goes in the solid tier. Then we got another member of the Sinister Six, Doc Ock. Another one that you can argue is really a villain or not. If we're just talking about the Spider-Man Raimi-verse, he is definitely a best of the best villain, but he ends up being a hero at the end. So hopefully y'all understand. I'm putting him in the great tier for now, because he only pops up and then he becomes a good guy at the end. So it's not really a villain, you know what I'm saying? But he still is intimidating as a villain when he is a villain in Spider-Man No Way Home. You get my drift? Next up, we got Echo. Another example of a villain that probably you can argue is an anti-hero. She is... You know what? She's actually a really cool character, and I'm excited for that TV series because it's going to be TV mature, and she's a very has multiple layers. You want to find out more about her. So she's a very interesting character. So I'll put her in solid. Then, who are you? Who are you? I know you're friends with Echo, but who are you? Who are you? Supreme Intelligence. I was not a fan of that character at all in Captain Marvel. I think she is absolutely terrible. Kingpin. Wow. Talk about a shocker villain in Hawkeye. We were not expecting him to pop up. Shit, were we? And, yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio still keeps the performance from the Daredevil TV show and brings it here. And I think he's a great villain. For the limited time he's on screen, he still keeps the Kingpin stuff from the Daredevil TV show. So I think he's honestly a great villain. Probably he might even go higher. It depends on the Echo TV show, but he is a great villain. Then we got Lizard. Meh. Just as for MCU standards, he's meh. If we're talking Amazing Spider-Man and adding Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'd probably put him in the solid tier. But he's not really utilized as much in Spider-Man No Way Home. Then we got MODOK, the newest member of the Avengers. It's a goofy villain. It's a goofy villain. He goes in toxic goodness. Well, I mean, technically he's the same character as another person, which is, I could probably put him down there, but he's funny. He's fine. Toxic goodness. Sandman. Same sort of story with Lizard. They don't really use him a lot in Spider-Man No Way Home. Green Goblin. Now, different story from Dr. Octopus. Green Goblin goes into great. No, I'm just kidding. Best of the best. Come on now. Green Goblin still played masterfully by Willem Dafoe in this movie. He almost gets Spider-Man to kill him, which he wants. That was pretty cool. Also, he almost kills Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I thought he was going to kill them both for a second. I was about to go like, wow. So, yeah, he's best of the best villain. Hang on. I'm going to take another drink of water because I've been talking a lot. I don't know what Home Dude's name is, but Ethan Hawke plays him from the Moon Knight TV series. And I actually think he's cool. I think he's actually pretty cool. I'll put him in the solid tier for now. Probably at the, top of solid. I think Ethan Hawke plays him pretty well. I like the mysterious, alluring presence of him where he walks on glass and stuff, walks barefoot. And you want to know more about this character, so he goes in the solid tier. I really enjoy Ethan Hawke's character there. Then we got... Are we going to have 2 Mordos? Or are we just having 1? I'm curious. Well, it looks like we're only having 1. We haven't seen a whole lot of Mordo, so I'll put him in okay for now, because we need to see more of him, and then he might rise up. Villain from Miss Marvel, pretty bland and boring. I'm going to be straight up honest with you there. This dude, I have no clue who you are. Who are you? Who are you? Gore the God Butcher. Man, is Christian Bale in the wrong movie, because this is probably the only good part of Thor Love and Thunder, is his performance as Gore the God Butcher. So I'll put Gore the God Butcher. I'll put him in solid. I hate to do it because I thought Christian Bale did a great job as Gore the God Butcher, but if he wasn't in he's in Thor Love and Thunder, the worst MCU movie. So unfortunately I have to put him right there. Have no clue. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Scarlet Witch. Now, Scarlet Witch is also another very sympathetic villain. She is great. I think the way they made her turn into a bad guy was very smart. I enjoyed how they did that. And also, Elizabeth Olsen is probably better playing the villain version of Wanda, so she does great here, and yeah, she deserves to go into the great. Alright, next up, what are you from? Who are you? Wait, where'd he even go? Oh, wait, I grabbed the wrong person, my bad. Well, this person's still who are you, but who are you along with you? Zeus, played by Russell Crowe. Too goofy of a character, but he's fun enough. I'll put him in... He's a toxic goodness villain. He has some funny humor bits, but he's probably at the back of toxic goodness, so he goes there. The old... What do I call this one? The Ultimate Ultron or whatever from What If? I really enjoy the What If series, and I thought he was a pretty menacing villain as well. I will put Ultimate Ultron, I think that's what he's called, in, honestly, the best of the best here. We didn't know that they were going to build up like a big villain for the series, so that was very interesting how they did that and made him a very alluring threat. The Ultron Vision thing or whatever. I think he's the best of the best villain. Then we got the Collector from the What If universe. Or is it just the Collector in general? It looks like it's just the Collector in general. Benicio del Toro does a good job playing him, but he doesn't do anything really memorable, though, so I'll put him in solid. Then we got Hank Pym as Yellow Jacket, the killer of all the Avengers from the What If TV series. An interesting way to go, for sure. Probably one of the most darkest episodes. He will go in the solid tier, because it's an interesting reveal, and yeah, I think it's pretty solid. Then we got Evil Doctor Strange. We only saw him for a cup of tea. So I'll put him in solid, I guess, because he only has that one fight scene with other Doctor Strange, and he doesn't even have a third eye in that fight scene, so he goes solid. The bad girl from Werewolf by Night. Who are you? Who are you? I don't remember you, so you go there. Titania, right? That's what her name is? The girl from She-Hulk. It's kind of meh, because why not? What's that character's name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Leapfrog, right? He's a goofy character, and it was interesting seeing him there, because he is an actual comic book villain. I've seen him before in, like, a Marvel book, so, yeah, he's funny, he's fine. I'll put him toxic goodness. I totally forgot what this person... Hulkling? That's what he's called, right? Not Hulkling, but... I don't know. Toxic trash villain, because the finale was ruined, so I'll put him there. Who are you? Who are you? I have no clue who you are. I think this is supposed to be Atuma, right? Am I correct? Atuma goes into meh, I guess. He doesn't really pop up much. Namor, the submariner from Black Panther. Wakanda Forever. A great villain, honestly. I think the Black Panther movies have had pretty great villains. I think he's honestly better than Killmonger. I know that might be a hot take, but I think he's just very interesting. And I think it's also interesting how they start him out as a... Who was I talking about? As a villain, because Namor is an anti-hero. Well, he is a good guy too, but, you know. Meh. I meant no, meh. There we go. All right. Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, and I hope, fingers crossed, the court case goes well, because I really do like Jonathan Majors as Kang. I think Jonathan Majors as Kang goes in best of the best here. No, I'll put him in the great tier for now because we've only seen snippets of him. We've only seen him in Loki, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But besides from that, we haven't seen really much of him. I was about to say when Secret Invasion. When Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty comes out, maybe he'll elevate into the best of the best tier. So he's very close to getting up there. Then we got another bad guy from Iron Man that's part of the Ten Rings. Very meh character. So go there. The other villain I was referring to earlier when I was talking about Ego, where he's neck and neck with them, is the High Evolutionary. This is a very despicable character, and you hate him. And they do a great job of building that, because the stuff he does to Rocket and his friends, oh my goodness, we hope you get yours. He's honestly a really, do I put him, yeah, no, I'm putting him in the great category, because I don't think I've personally ever hated a villain more in the MCU ever, because once you see the flashback stuff that he did to Rocket, oh my gosh, you want him to get his and beat it up and badly. You want him to die, my goodness. Just such a despicable character. Well, I'll keep him at the bottom of great, because he does keep that same villain villain motive that he wants to make sure the world's perfect, like that. So he goes to the back of great. So yeah, just because of how unbelievable, on how you hate him so much. Another one that's like, would you even consider him a villain anymore? Adam Warlock. And Adam Warlock as a villain is just Ayesha's Ayesha's puppet. So I'll put him in meh for now. Will Poulter still does a great job at playing as him, though. And it's weird how they mess with his character, but whatever. I forgot what the actor's name was, but he's a funny little cameo in here, so I'll put him in the toxic goodness category, like at the back. So yeah. I don't even remember his name, to be honest. One of High Evolutionary's helpers. Who are you? Supreme Intelligence. Go back down there. Where do you think you're going? The Destroyer. The suit's cool. You only see him for a slight bit, but he doesn't really pop up that much, so I'll put him in meh. Yelena Belova as Black Widow. Another one where you're going, do you even consider them as a villain? Solid, I guess, because she's not really a villain. So if she was a hero, maybe I would put her higher. So I'll put her at the top of solid, near the top of solid. Don't mind me, I'm running out of thoughts. The mindless ones, I believe that's what these are called from Doctor Strange, right? The one-eyed things, whatever. They look cool, but they're who are you? Like, because they only pop up for that one scene where it gets its eyeball taken out, so that's pretty much it. Who are you? Who are you? Part of the group of hunters and Werewolf by Night. What? Another, how is this a villain? How is this a villain? This is not a villain. So I'll put him in toxic trash because that is... Oh, no, not him. She is not a villain. She is not a villain. What the heck? Why is that even on here? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Scorpion. Toxic trash. We haven't seen him in the suit yet, but I'm not liking the way they're going so far. Again, what? He's not even a villain, really. You can consider... Not even a villain. Not even a villain. Like, what? As a character, I wouldn't judge... If I was judging him as a character when revealing this plot twist, I would go, okay. But he's not a villain! Okay. this guy from Iron Man 1 that pops up again in Spider-Man Far From Home. Meh, I guess. That's where I think I'll put him. Okay, we're putting multiple versions of Loki's on here. I don't remember much about this version of Loki, President Loki more particularly, so meh. The storm in the, I forgot what it was called when you got killed or, like, disappeared by that stick or whatever that pops up at the end. Pretty creepy, so I'll put him in, I should say, in the okay tier. Who says that? Maybe like a little bit of him is villainous, but he's not a villain, so he goes into toxic trash too. He's not a villain. He is not a villain. Bro, what the heck? What is up with all the other version of Loki? Meh, I guess. Okay, now we move on to an actual villain. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Because it's been a while since I watched Secret Invasion. Well, I did watch the show fully, but I forgot what his name was. No, I forgot what his name. I forgot what his name was. I will put him in, honestly, one of the best Disney Plus villains. I really enjoyed his character. I will put him in the great tier. I think this actor's really talented, and he does a good job in here too. And yeah, I think he's a great character, so I'll put him here. I think he's the best Disney Plus villain we've had, which might be a hot take, even though Secret Invasion ended up ending horribly. So yeah. Again, well, I mean, actually, no. He's a Skrull or whatever, so this Skrull isn't really that big, so I'll put him in meh. Like, this bottom row sucks. Who? Okay, the actor dude from Loki Season 2. Again, would you consider him a villain? I personally wouldn't, so I put him in toxic trash. Then we got, we'll do this one because I don't even know who this is. Well, I haven't finished Loki Season 2 yet, which you guys are probably going like, that's blasphemous. What? Finish watching the show so you can catch up or whatever. I just got done watching the Marvels today. Okay. Then finally we got the news villain in, what was her name? Dar something? I forgot what her name was. She's a toxic trash villain. I mean, I think there's some stuff interesting with how she was a part of the Kree originally. I think that's interesting. But otherwise, pretty generic villain. Probably the most generic villain on this list. So, with that being said, guys, oh my gosh, how long is this video? I have no clue. But with that being said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of another toxic tier list ranking. But before we get to actual ending the video, tell you guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, we're on the road to 400 subscribers, just 18 away now. Really help out you boy if you did subscribe. It also goes for people that have watched my channel for a while and haven't subscribed yet. If you missed my previous toxic tier list rankings I've done in the past, they're in a playlist on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check that one out. Also, don't forget to like the video if you do like my toxic tier list rankings, because let me know that you do like it and help with the YouTube algorithm and recommend the video more. Also, don't forget to ring the bell for all notifications in case you want vote, because we do multiple uploads here on the channel every single day. Also, you can share the video, because also my outcasts and more people join that toxic fan. And feel free to comment as well your lists. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Ba 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 ba. Peace.